Welcome back to Alpha Mama 2022. Today we are doing episode 5, Extreme Ownership. Alpha Mama brings you the lowdown on books that change your lives in the self-development space. We do the reading and research so that you can sit back, listen, and take the steps to live your best life and move forward towards a grounded life that reflects your authentic self. Growing up, I didn't feel like I had a lot of great guidance. The lack of guidance in my own life led me to make choices that accumulated in me hitting rock bottom at the age of 30. I felt like I had no one to turn to, and that's when I decided to turn to books and researching how to live my best life. Fast forward almost a decade and I have experienced total transformation. At Alpha Mama, we believe it doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. The only thing you need to succeed at your life is the belief that you can and the commitment to carry through with backing yourself. So welcome back to episode 5, Extreme Ownership. Today's book, what are we talking about? So this week I reviewed, and I have read this book previously, so it was really a great refresher for me. So we're focusing on extreme discipline today and getting some tips and strategies in place for how to become more disciplined in our lives, so that we can make better choices and carry through with our goals and the visions that we create for ourselves. So how do we go about doing that? So the book is called Extreme Ownership, How US Navy SEALs Lead and Win by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. And I believe Jocko Willink was like some commander or something in the army, and then Leif was like a sub-lieutenant or something a little bit lower. So what are the principles? Now, just in reflection on this book in general, it's very formulaic the way that each chapter runs. So basically, it's got about 10 or 11, 12 chapters, I'm not sure. And each chapter holds one principle of basically self-discipline. And then each chapter basically goes through an analogy of a military episode that took place, and that's a live example of how that principle worked in the military. And then he then applies it to business, and he clearly states the principle and what leadership looks like and what self-discipline looks like and what the elements of that are. So, if you're wanting something that's consistent and regular and sort of easy to process, this is a great little read for anyone who's interested in something like that, as well as providing a kind of, glorified version of business development skills and self-development skills. It's like tough and yeah, I'm in the Navy, we've done real stuff, which is great, it's fantastic. So one of the cool things that they mention in this book, so they really focus it on Navy SEAL principles, and in particular they talk about being part of a team, working as a team, having a mission. So the importance of having a mission, having a goal, and then realizing that actually it's not that easy to succeed by yourself. And so part of success is having a mission and then getting other people into your team, I suppose, and then selling them the vision, selling them the mission, getting them on board and getting them to help you achieve your dreams in your life. And I'm a little bit, I suppose, ideological about this sort of stuff, where I think, well, in an ideal world, you could create a symbiotic relationship with other people around you so that you can work together to both support each other in your individual missions in life. So I think that is achievable and that's possible because everyone's different, everyone's going for different things in their lives. And so it makes sense that you'd be able to achieve that without stepping on each other's toes, unless you were both going for the same thing. So what are the principles in extreme ownership? Well, obviously, the number one principle of extreme ownership is extreme ownership, meaning own your shit. Own your shit. And that's basically what he reiterates again and again and again in this book, is that effective leadership is about taking responsibility for all the outcomes in any mission and owning it, whether it's a success or a failure, and not blaming anyone else, not putting blame onto anyone else, not making excuses. You know, it's like, oh, I have a disability. Well, you can turn your disability into an excuse, or you can own your disability and find a way to get around it to achieve your goals. You know, everyone has, you know, if you want an excuse, there are a million excuses out there that you can pick and choose from. But at the end of the day, if you actually want to succeed at what you're doing, you need to own it. You need to own it. And the beautiful thing, I suppose, about this book and what it suggests is that not only, so to begin with, if your team's failing, if you're not achieving your mission, you need to own responsibility for that. Don't blame others. If other people aren't owning it, that's because of your poor communication of the mission or of onboarding them with the mission. Recognising that sometimes there are people who just aren't going to fit into the team, and so to have the discipline and the grit to let go of people who are not on board with your mission and where you're going in your life. To keep things really simple, to make sure everyone is on board and that you can pivot quickly with where you're going. And then importantly, so things like having a plan, making sure everyone's on board with your plan. So being clear about communicating with everyone and owning it. The crux of the book is basically own it. Whatever you do, whatever you decide, whatever failures you make, own it. And the truth is, whenever we are victims in life, whenever bad things happen to us, whenever we fail at what we're trying to do, the reality is, unless you own it, you're powerless to make changes in your life. You're powerless to make the changes that are required to get you where you need to go. So unless you own what's happening to you, and if you just sit there in victim mentality, victim state, then you'll never be able to actually break free of or take the steps required to get you to where you need to get to succeed. So I really like that. And I'm not going to do a long podcast this week. I'm just going to keep it really simple. The last thing that he mentions in this book is discipline is freedom. And discipline is the pathway to freedom. So doing the hard yards, taking the hard steps, making the hard choices, getting up, showing up and owning your life every single day and doing the work required to get where you need to get is how you achieve success in your life. And if it's not working out for you, if it's not, then you need to change it up. You need to own it more. You need to implement more self-discipline. And recognising that you're not an island. Self-discipline isn't achieved alone. You need people around you. You need support. You need a team. It's your responsibility to get other people on board on your team, to get people, supporting your mission and so forth. So thinking deeply about how you can do that through being consistent, showing up, having discipline, having a simple message, having clear goals in mind and a clear plan and strategy that's easy for people to digest and not confusing. And that kind of consistency and all the rest. So look, I really like this book. I mean, it gets a bit old with all the, like each chapter is like going through the seal experience, and sometimes you go, is he just like trying to stretch the story to make the principle work for the seal analogy? But overall, it's a great little book on self-discipline, and it's just a timely reminder that no matter what you want in your life, the first step towards achieving that is to own your story, own your life, own all the decisions that you make, and own everything that happens to you. Whether it's your fault or not, if you don't own it, you have no control over the outcome. If you choose to own it, if you choose to take on that responsibility for yourself, then you can find a pathway to freedom. So that's just something to think about. Okay, well, that is going to be a very, very tight ship show for today. Next time, and that's only going to be shortly, we are going to be talking about financial freedom and some steps and strategies that we can take towards getting our ducks in a row with our finances. So I've got a great little book that I'm going to be reviewing on that. I look forward to chatting to you very soon, and thanks for listening to the show. Hit subscribe. We love to have subscribers, and it's Alpha Mama for this week. Over and out.